In product management, we have many different roles. Product managers, senior product managers, principal product managers, directors of product management, VPs of product management, CPOs, and probably there's other roles out there and names and titles that we are using for different types of product people that are working, planning and developing these products that we all love, or hopefully we love. This can actually be very confusing. Who does what? Who owns which part of the process? In this video, let's go through the different roles that are in product management and what parts of the process do they own. I'm going to do this based on the hierarchy of needs that I presented some videos ago. If you're interested, I will link the video up here and also in the description down below. But first, let's go through this one. You can go and check that video later on. So the hierarchy of needs, I'm not going to go too much into detail. You can see here, basically what it does, it tells you that there are different steps within product management that you have to go through in order to bring value to your customers. First, you have to have a vision, you have to have a problem, a potential solution, you have to understand what is your value proposition. You also have to have a strategy. What are the key areas or key components for me to achieve my vision? Then you also have to define a design that you are going to follow. As well, you have to make sure that you're great at executing on your plans. And finally, you have to be able to understand if you're bringing value to your customers or not. So based on this pyramid, there are different activities on the different steps that are taken by the different roles. And what I'm going to do in this video is go through all the main product management roles and describe in which parts of this process, or this is not a process per se, it's a hierarchy of needs, but in which one of this hierarchy, which parts of this hierarchy they actually are participating, and to what level. So let's start with the king of them all, the CPO, the Chief Product Officer. Usually the Chief of Product Officer in most of the companies, and I'll try to talk a little bit about the differences between the sizes of companies, is going to focus on the vision and the strategy. That's usually where they're going to be working, and that's usually where they should be concentrating. They are going to want to follow and understand if things are moving forward. Of course, that's a very different story, but where the bulk of the work should be is in understanding what is the vision for a product and what are the strategic goals for that product to achieve that vision. So, for example, they are going to participate and understand what problems is the product solving, potentially what solutions it could be doing, but that's already starting to be outside of the realm of the work of the CPO. But they also want to understand and also be able to do market size or total addressable market studies and understand that where is the potential for different initiatives. They might not do the work, they might just make sure that somebody's doing the work, so this is something that is taken into account when actually trying to tackle a new problem. As well, the same goes for this strategy. In many industries, when you talk about strategy, in many companies, software products, what is going to be related to the strategy are going to be many things, but one of the key ones are going to be the typical type of personas that we are going to serve and which industries they are in. This is especially true for B2B products. You could also talk that is similar for B2C companies or products, because in the end, you have to understand which types of customers you are serving. This is a very key and strategic aspect of product management and product planning products, basically, or building products. They're also going to be very involved probably in the go-to-market activities and understanding how we are going to get this product to the market. It's not just about the product, it's also about the price, the promotion, which channels, what type of marketing, the placement. Where are we going to be selling this product? Is it going to be online? Is it going to be what type of licenses? How are we going to sell it online? Are we selling through a marketplace, or do we have our own web shop, e-commerce, whatnot? They don't need to do necessarily all this, but they are going to be participating and driving many of these activities, at least to a certain degree. And although they are not going to be part of the other activities, the design and execution that actively in most of the companies, especially when they are let's say, sizable mid-sized company or large companies, a CPO is not going to be part of the execution. They will want to know how the execution is going. And they definitely will want to know what value is being delivered to the customer. All the feedback, all the reports, all the understanding of is the product being engaged, or is there's engagement with the product from the users, and so on. Those are going to be very, very important data, sponsor data for this chief product officer. When it comes to the VP of product, so the vice president of product, vice president of product management, there's different names or different ways of creating this name. They're going to have a relatively similar role as the CPO. But usually you have CPOs and VPs of product when you have a multi-product companies. You can have a CPO even in a startup with one product, and that's usually the role of one of the founders. Then it's still similar to a product manager, but it gets a ton of work from the strategy vision and so on. VPs of product usually are going to work in multi-product companies, and usually what a VP of product is going to do is that they take one business area. So for example, let's talk about a company that is doing products for architects, but products also for engineers, or company that is doing, let's say, a suite of products for construction, a suite of products for civil construction, or for, let's say, building construction and civil construction being maybe more like infrastructure, your roads, your railroads, and so on. One of them, usually the VP of product, could be for all the construction of buildings, and the other one could be another VP of product for another suite of products or portfolio of products focused on infrastructure work. That's usually how the distribution of VPs goes. Of course, there's many companies out there, and there's many ways of doing this work and defining roles, so you can imagine that there's going to be very big differences. Again, the role of the VP of product is going to be relatively similar to that one of the CPO. The difference with the CPO is when there's a big portfolio of product, the CPO is going to stay very, very high level on what are the different problems that the company is solving, what are the different areas, how to distribute the teams, and so on. Whereas the VP of product is going to focus on that business area, and is going to focus on how can we make this business area where we build the products that are solving the customer's problems, but we are also building a reliable business. A product director, usually what it's going to be doing is that a product director is going to be responsible typically for one product. Funnily, I have been a product director in different companies, and usually I have had several products. So it's not necessarily the case that a product director has only one product. I have had up to 4 or 5 products, depends on how you count them. So it depends a lot on the company, and it depends a lot on the policy of the company to define the roles. Not all the companies have VPs, for example, or VPs are only for very specific type of roles. So a product director, again, is going to have very similar areas of responsibility, again, vision, strategy, and looking more into, for that one product or for the few products that they are working with, what are the problems that they are solving, which are the industries that they are in, who are they for, what type of go-to-market we are going to have. That's usually the case, or going to be the case, for product directors. So again, they're going to be staying in those levels, but again, they're going to be very focused on paying much attention to what is the design policies, what is the execution, how is this progressing, and what is the value that is being built or given to the customers. So I wouldn't say that a product director doesn't participate in those ones, but they are not that actively or daily involved with them. Then we come to a product designer. You could argue if a product designer is a product manager role, but it's definitely a product role. The same as a tech lead could be a product role. So designers are usually going to be the ones that focus very heavily on the design phase of the product development process, if we want to call it this way. As part of the design, they're going to be doing many things, like activities like user research, prototyping, building mockups, ideation phases, processes like design thinking, and so on. but they are also going to pay attention a lot on the value that is being brought to the customer, that the products are bringing to the customer. So they're going to look potentially a lot into the data, but they're going to be working a lot with qualitative work. They're going to be doing interviews with the customers. They're going to be doing surveys where they want to understand better what is the value that the product is bringing to the customer, or where maybe is missing, or how could we do it better. That is going to be part of the work of a product designer. They're also going to be, of course, very involved during the execution part. And there's going to be a lot of plans that had to develop because of product design. As for the strategy and vision, although they don't necessarily are driving those activities, there are definitely somebody that uses the outcome of those activities a lot. So they are going to definitely use the user personas that have been defined, the industries that are being targeted, the problems that the company or the product needs to solve. That's going to be the feedback, the input, or the first entry point for the work of the product designer. When it comes to product managers, now this is going to be interesting, and it's going to depend a lot on the seniority of the product manager. But typically, a product manager is going to be very heavily involved in the execution, obviously, and in the value part or stages of the hierarchy of needs. So they are definitely going to be doing prioritization, understand what is the work, understand how we are going to plan, or what are the problems that we are building. So when it comes to product managers, I don't want this to be taken as a feature only approach or only for feature teams. Definitely, if you think that the most of the work is in execution, whether you're a feature team or if you are a product team, this applies to you. So that you had to have very clear. So if you think that you're not going to spend most of your time as a product manager in execution, then you are wrong. But yes, they're going to be working a lot in discovery. And when you think about discovery, what they're going to be working is in these aspects of the vision and the strategy that they come as an input, the same as for the designer, understanding that, hey, we have this problem, how we are going to solve it. That's going to be the touch points to the vision and the strategy, how they are getting that input of that strategy or the vision, and how they are going to take it as part of their work in the discovery phases. So again, discovery is very important, and I'm not going to say that it's not, and that they are only there to build features. That's not the goal. But of course, to a certain degree, whatever you build as a discovery at some point is going to be built into the product as a feature. And I know that features have gotten this horrible bad rep nowadays, but I think that that's not necessarily correct, because I think that in the end, features are what going to be used by the customer, and all the industries out there talk still about features. Car in automotive, they still talk about the features of the car. You talk about the features of your phone or of your computer. We, as product management people, we have gotten very proud, and we don't want to be ever identified with features. That's not our thing. But I think that that's a bit trying to put ourselves a little bit in the ivory tower, that we don't care about features. But in the end, the features are going to be what is used by the customer. But let's not go into that discussion, because I'm going to be just going down that rabbit hole for a while. So basically, they are going to be working a lot on execution. Once they understand the problem, once they have identified a solution, working with a product designer in building those mock-ups, those prototypes. Again, this is not a one-time thing. It doesn't have to be a waterfall process. It can be an iterative and a continuous journey that you're doing with your customer. What it means is that your vision and your discovery work with the design work is pretty much embedded into your execution work, which means that every time that you're building something or planning something new for your feature or your product, you're basically working together with your customers to get better input and understanding better what you need to build. And what you are building actually is being validated with those potential users of your product. And then, of course, they have to work a lot with the value that's being delivered through those features to the customer. That's going to be key for them. And here they're going to talk about qualitative work, quantitative work. I'm not going to go into details because I'm going to be talking about this forever. What is the difference between a regular product manager, if there's such a thing, a senior or a principal? So the more you have or add seniority to a product manager, the more they're going to be involved in the bottom layers of this hierarchy of needs. They're going to work a lot with the strategy. They're going to be working a lot with the vision. So a principal product manager is not just going to be there to get the vision as an input. They also going to be giving input to the vision. They might be even defining the problem together with a director or a VP of product management or even a CPO. So they're not going to they are not just going to be a person that is receiving that information. They might come with a proposal, and then this is reviewed or validated by the upper or the leadership team in the product of product managers, so different product leaders like product director, CPO or whatnot. The same goes for a senior product manager. A senior product manager in most of the cases is not going to be building the vision, but is probably going to be senior enough to identify the strategy. Not all the senior product managers that I know have been really great at identifying strategies and what are the different strategic goals that are going to help them identify or achieve their vision. So it depends a lot on the person, but usually they are going to be working more on that side, and they are also going to be involved in the execution. When you think about principal product managers, they might be working with another product manager that might be focusing more on the execution. That might happen. I've seen that. And you have roles like a commercial product manager who is going to be very focused on go-to-market activities and potentially parts of the strategy, but then they're going to be relatively detached from things like the execution. So when it comes to the different roles, there's going to be different areas that they are going to be involved. There are small companies like a startup. There's going to be many startups out there that are going to have one person that is taking care of the product. This might be the founder, one of the founders who's taking the role of the CPO. Usually what they're going to be doing is everything. They will do pretty much everything that is in here, which means that they're not going to be able to do everything, and they are going to be able to do everything efficiently because it's just a one-man band, and that's usually difficult to scale, and that means that you're not going to be able to cover everything to the degree that a person dedicated to do that role would. And again, this is something that is going to vary a lot from company to company, but I think that this gives you an idea of what the different roles are doing within an organization and helps you understand a little bit better what is going to be the focus for them in the needs that product management has. And also, if you are planning a team, that can help you understand better where you have the gaps and where do you want to build the competencies that maybe you don't have at this time. You can plot parts of this into some kind of competency matrix that is going to help you understand how your team members are performing or how your team members could be developing their careers in the future. Something that could be an idea for a future video. If you want to, please let me know in the comments below. So how about you? How you are defining the roles of the different product people in your organization? Or do you understand what are the roles of the different product people in your organization? Please let me know. Share below in the comments and let's start the discussion there. If you enjoyed this video, you might want to hear more about this hierarchy of needs. I created a video about it. You can go check it up here. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel. If you want to know more about the hierarchy of needs, I created a video about it. So go check it out next. I will see you in the next one. And remember, stay safe.